Ladies and gentlemen, and maybe also boys and girls, welcome to this live stream about data science. We're going to demystify everything which is related to data, analytics, cloud, and related topics. My name is Ekrem, and I'm happy to host you this session here. And we will look into the matter. And I think this is the most asked questions of many young students, professionals, and even professionals who are in the job, because data, and data. Everyone is talking about data. Everyone wants to do something with data. And even if you watch and look into the new inventions, be it in social media, be it in mobility, be it in e-commerce, all this fancy, cool stuff, which is in the area of AI, in area of personalization, autonomous driving, recommendation, and so on, the underlying technology is based on data and AI. And I'm really happy that we can look into this great area and gonna get answers to the questions. Is it really that simple to be a data scientist? Does it really require only 3 months of boot camp and suck, I'm a data scientist? Or is it really true that the entry salary range of a data scientist is 70K per year? Those kind of questions I'm really happy to discuss with a great line of speakers from various enterprises and organizations. And yeah, please welcome with me our three panelists today, Jasmin, Frank, and Sam. Come to the stage.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello and welcome. I mean, really glad having you and so a diverse group of people here. Disclaimer first, we are hosting you here, you as a person. So every statement, every comment, every opinion is your personal one and not representing your company you are working with, unless you want to share something also which your great companies are doing in that area. So let's start with a quick introduction. Ladies first, Jasmine, who you are and what's your relationship to data science?
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Really nice to be here again. Thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Jasmin, as you can also read on the screen. I'm a data scientist by training. Started, say, 7 years ago into my career with a dual study here in Germany, which I did with a big European software company. Then, got fascinated throughout by the area of data science. And after this business information technology bachelor, I then decided to do a master program in data science at the University of Mannheim, which was at that time also fairly new. And afterwards I decided to, switch from the software industry to the chemical industry, and that's where I'm working right now.
Awesome. Great profile and really spot on. You are a data scientist. We will look into this in a minute. Sam, who
Yeah,
are you? Who is Sam and what are you doing every day?
yeah. Hello, everyone. My name's Sam Ho. I'm a data scientist at Shutterstock, which, if you don't know, is one of the world's largest stock footage companies. We have about 400 million images. I've been there for a few years now. Before I was at a startup. But my perspective is I had a career shift maybe about 5 years ago. I was working in more traditional analytics, marketing analytics, market research, and did a career pivot. And now have moved into data science. So I'm happy to give my feedback and experience on that part of my life. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to answering some of your questions.
Great. Welcome, Sam, to this panel. And we can already see the minor differences. Jasmine, data science by profession. Sam, you switched to data science. I think you have interesting things to share. I mean, how these two career paths differ from each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frank, my dear friend, welcome to the panel. Happy to see you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm the one who is not a data scientist in here, but I do lead a team of data scientists. So I do have, oh God, plenty years of development experience. So I'm by nature a trained developer. So I started 20 years ago writing ABAP code, C++, C Sharp, etc. And then changed career quite recently or quite often in certain companies to be more consultant, be a salesperson, be an advisor. And now I'm leading North and Central Europe at Capgemini for sub I&D business, which also includes a data science practice.
Awesome. and a leader of data science. So I think this is also something which a lot of young professionals are aiming for, to be one day where you are, Frank, right? To lead a group. And I know that Jasmin also recently promoted to a leadership position. Congratulations on that. So yeah, of course, we have a lot of questions, and we also, supposed to have one more guest with us, Sandra, but she's unfortunately felt sick. Obviously, it was, Corona. Get well soon, Sandra, and hope to see you next time. But at least we have questions from the mentee and from the young professionals. And we had also 2 weeks ago Ask Me Anything questions, where a lot of young professionals ask a lot of questions, and I will also, address those ones here. But to the audience out there, you can use the LinkedIn comment function or the YouTube chat function to raise your questions to our panelists here. So feel free to type in whatever interests you, even if it's a comment, you agree or disagree whatsoever. So let us know. But yeah, Jasmin, let's start with you. I know your journey, right? So, and it's a quite interesting one, because you are the role model for many young professionals. You started as a mentee at GDEXA. You did a great master's, and you had a lot of internships, and it looks like from outside like a perfect journey of how to be a data science. But let us know, what were the challenges, and what would you advise to the young professionals or young talents out there who would like to be like you?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you for this question. Yeah, so in retrospective, also myself looking back on it, it all mapped out so nice. But, there were times where you're not, fully certain, like, what is your next step, where I was also struggling, at the final year of my bachelor program, should I really go into this direction of the data science master? Should I do different masters? Shouldn't I do a master at all? So I believe, that shouldn't stress you out, seeing this kind of, streamlined CVs, because as we see with, for example, Sam, there's so many different ways leading into data science, also at all stages of the career. So really, this shouldn't stress you out. For me, the main reasoning was that the University of Mannheim was, providing this really nice career program and study program, which was focused on data science, and which was also at that time a very, very, a limited offer in Germany as well. And I thought, already being there in Mannheim, this is the perfect match, and this is a super nice way for me to still, also be in contact with this region where I grew up, and where I'm having all my contacts, but still pursuing this next step of career in a really, really nice university setting. Yeah, and for me, that was,
Just, is it a prerequisite? The data science, do you need to have a university degree?
Definitely not. I don't think so. It's, I still think it's one of the, say, easiest way of entry into that field. So because it's, a good guarantee that you're able to work in that area, and, to have it on your CV, but it's not, as mentioned, it's definitely not the only option into this field, not at all.
Okay, cool. Frank, would you agree with that? And then maybe the question to you, do you have a data scientist in your team without a university degree?
Yes, we do. So I guess university degree is really not what matters too much anymore. Yes, we are at least here in Germany, we are title driven. So everything which has a bachelor, master, doctor, and whatever is perceived better than all the others per se, at least in the screening of CVs. In my experience, I do see it totally different. So a data scientist by nature is not a job title. It's not a role. Of course, it depends on so many different stuff. So you do need to have a business understanding. You need to have a development skills. You do need to have a science skills, mathematician, statistics, etc. You need to do a visualization part of it. And most probably, the most data scientists I see don't fulfill all of them. It's too much. The majority is split it. So we split it more or less in data visualization, data modeling, statistics. So it's like 3 buckets. And then it's also easier to step into that. And then you can grow into other areas. But it's definitely not that you come fresh from university and you are a full-fledged data scientist anyhow. Mm-hmm. So this will not happen. So just to make everyone aware, sorry, my opinion, you come out of university with a master's degree, you are very well fledged to enter the area, but you are definitely not yet a data scientist in a full manner.
Awesome. I mean, this is, I think, a great news out there, right? So if anyone out there is looking for a career in data science, so I mean, I think the diversity aspect counts here, right? So there is no a perfect path in terms of university only or non-university. So everyone is kind of invited to the party as far as I can see from your answers. Sam, would you agree? I mean, maybe your quick journey to data science, since you mentioned that you switched your career into data science. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because this is really spot on for many people out there who are doing something boring and would love to go in something cool and think data science is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, so I have a degree, but I got it a long time ago. It wasn't a data science degree. It was psychology. There's an analytical aspect to it. But I think the thing with data science is, like Frank said, is I think a degree gives you a certain level of focus and kind of sort of academic sort of roundness. But data science as a field is, I mean, it's speeding up all the time. Like, things are changing. There are new tools, there are new libraries, there are new disciplines kind of cropping up every other month. It's quite overwhelming, actually. So actually, I think the key thing is the ability to learn, and to surround yourself by other smart people, and have that kind of environment where you can learn, because it changes quite rapidly. I think the key thing that Frank said is that there is a technical aspect and an analytical aspect, of course, to being a data scientist. But the key thing is, especially if you're working in the private sector, is being business driven. So the work you're doing, what's the business value? You can build fancy models, you can do amazing dashboards. That's great, but actually, our jobs are to provide business value. And yeah, I don't think you can necessarily get that from a degree. That's just it's this kind of fundamental concept.
I mean, just Sam, maybe a question to you: that the day of a data scientist, right? So because even my son, who's now 18 years, and he wanted to be a UX designer, now is switching to data science, and the reason he said is like, I love to solve problems. So is that true? Are you sitting in your desk, in your home office, in your office, all day in and out, and solving really problems?
There's a huge problem-solving part of it. I think actually a typical day is checking Slack, checking meetings, catching up with stakeholders, thinking about, because we work with products, so we develop products, we have a product roadmap. It's thinking about the things that we want to get to by the end of the year. And within that, there are certain key milestones where there are problems to be solved, research needs to be done to explore things. But it's not every single day. A lot of it is just admin work sometimes, talking to stakeholders and making people feel at ease about problems.
Okay, this might be a bummer though, right? So for everyone out there expecting, oh wow, this is really like a every day I'm solving huge problems in the world, and something in the area of climate change, on hunger, on mobility, and so on. Yeah, obviously, right? So I think every company had a impactful solution or whatsoever, but it's also like other stuff as well, right? Sam, you mentioned like these transactional and operational things, right? And they're working, on certain milestones and need to deliver certain things as well, right?
And often a big problem that needs to be solved is, where do I get my data from? Or if I do have my data, it's really dirty and it's really messy, and I need to spend a lot of time cleaning it up. So
yeah,
that's a problem, but it's not a very sexy problem.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Let's assume. We encourage now many people out there to go that path. So we understood. Academic, non-academic, in middle of a job or studying, whichever phase you are, you feel invited to join. So, and then where to start? Jasmin. So, what kind of skill should I learn first in order to be a data science? I mean, is there any best practice and any must-haves you may recommend to the people out there to say, hey, start with this and continue with that?
Yeah. So here I want to comment again on what Frank said, and I totally agree. There's not, the one data scientist with the full profile. So I think to, facilitate your way into data science, you could start thinking already what kind of data scientist you would like to be. Do you see yourself more, on the data visualization or more on the operation side? You maybe rather go into the area of machine learning engineer, or are you really, really keen on the statistics part? So you maybe really want to focus on this, on being a statistician. I think that, this kind of thought process could very much facilitate your way, because as mentioned, there's so many learning resources out there. It's the time to time, it's really overwhelming. Also, people that are already in this profession, because the learning resources are endless. So having a bit of focus, and thinking about also together with a mentor, I think here really, having someone who's in that profession who can guide and navigate your way is really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we hopefully can all agree on is that a certain level of, say, math and statistics is in either way, a good way to start, and it's something that should be a good foundation of the profession. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, Frank, Sam, what you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think a key for my role and where I'm at, a key skill is coding. So I code in Python, but there's R as well. So that's quite a key skill from my perspective. Just because it's the language, we communicate and code with other data scientists. But I also think on top of that is not getting buried down too much in the code, but being able to communicate to other people, to communicate to senior stakeholders, junior colleagues as well. That's quite an important skill. And I think, irrespective of career choice, I think communication is it's fundamental to every single career path we take. So I would definitely, and that's really valuable as well. If we interview someone and they're very, very coherent and they can visualize things and they can explain complex topics quite simply, that's very, very appealing to see, because, I mean, you'd be surprised. There are quite a lot of data scientists that struggle with that. So yeah, I definitely value that. That's quite important.
Yeah, I would just love to add, I mean, the point's fully valid, no doubts about that. From my point of view, so I had a couple of mentees where they said they want to switch career. And for example, coming from a marketing background. So very keen already in visualizations, in storytelling and stuff like that. So for them, easier entry point obviously is the data visualization part, the storytelling, business communication part, instead of starting on the coding side. Whereas others which are coming more like myself from a background from being a developer. So there it's easier to learn a bit of Python, R, etc. And then we do have, for example, some astrologic guys in our team, like doctor of astrophysics. For them, it's easy to do statistics and mathematics. So that is the easier. It's by nature in their training already inbuilt. And then you can extend. Then you learn them a bit of coding, learn them a bit of communication. And I don't want to say that astrophysics can communicate, but in general, what Sam said is a very important piece. So we have a lot of great minds everywhere, not only in Cap, but also all around. I see them. Communication is the key solution. Because you first need to understand the business process, the business problem. Then you need to articulate the value add. What is it where the business should pay for? Then you need to articulate the outcome, how to visualize it. How can somebody take a decision based on the data or in the information you found? And all of that is communication. So if I would recommend something, then start with communication.
But do you feel, do you feel that this is, I fully agree, because I see that myself, that communication is actually a huge factor. But do you feel that this is, sufficiently represented in the job descriptions? Because I feel, there's a huge focus on having basically they're describing a full stack kind of developer, right?
Yeah, so it's unfortunately really true. It's a totally technical driven job descriptions most of the time. and it scares people. So if I would be a junior, if I would come from university, I would see this job descriptions like you need to proficient be in PySpark, in Spark, in SQL, in Python, in R, and so you have 500 technologies, but no point matters that, hey, you should communicate first.
Yeah, but come on, guys, you are writing these job descriptions or not? I mean,
it's true. We
Yeah.
are working on it.
yeah,
I'm gonna
so
change that for myself. So I mean, that's what I want to focus on in the interviews. If I do, like also focus on the communication part.
Yeah.
because
But
this is, I mean,
it's a slow process.
absolutely, because this is now, I mean, now I got you, Frank, right? So as a someone who's hiring people, right? So if you say, yeah, communication, soft skills, and those kind of things are more important. So if someone now, I mean, applies it in your team and said, hey, I'm good in communication, I'm a fast learner, lifelong learning, I want to switch career. So would you really give them a chance?
If they are not a baker or a butcher by profession right now, definitely yes. So don't get me wrong. So you need to have a certain skill set already next to communication. Only communication is not enough. So then you should go to marketing and be on stage. That's perfectly fine. But if you do come with either an industry background where you say like, hey, I know chemicals inside out, perfect. I hire you blindly because I can train you Python. That is not an issue, but I can't learn you chemicals. So that is the point. So we are looking more and more for industry knowledge at the first place, and then at the second place, skills and soft skills are more important than hard skills. Of course, everything which is a hard skill you can train. And there is a war of talent. So we will anyhow not find the data scientist, this chemical background, fully capable to communicate and know all the technologies. This you can't find on the market. And if so, you can't pay it.
Got it. Okay, so again, because we can impact so many lives. I mean, people are going to watch and take this for granted, right? So ultimately, your clear advice, industry knowledge, communication, soft skills, and obviously some basics, right? So what are the basics? Are this really basics in Python, basics in visualization, basics in SQL? I mean, can we articulate this? Of course, it's not written in stone, and this may vary. I'm not, I mean, bonding you to this one, but I mean, just as a key takeaway for the audience, I mean, give them something on hand. What should they focus on?
So let me start, and then the data scientists can add, because for me it's easier. So for us, R and Python is definitely a foundation which you need to have. It's like the language of data science. So without that, you're out. Other than that, whatever you can add on top, Power BI, Tableau, on the one hand side, when it comes to visualization, or even the niche parts. So take the Google parts, etc. Or if you go then to data modeling, you know SQL, PySpark, etc. So that is definitely the stuff where we are first looking on. Everything else is just an addition.
Sam, Jasmin, you want to continue?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think one thing that has been really helpful for me is learning a little bit on top. I mean, I know Python, but a little bit of SQL as well. It seems to be, as all these technologies evolve and there's all these different libraries and models and disciplines, SQL's always there. And I don't think it's going anywhere. So just a basic understanding of how to query databases. It's a fairly straightforward language to learn, but if you know the basics of that, I think that's quite important too. Before I started at Shutterstock, I didn't know a huge amount, and as soon as I started, I was like, wow, I need to scrub up on this. So it's yeah, I'm definitely looking to learning a little bit of SQL as well.
Yeah, from my side,
Okay.
what I can add to the list is, coming from a mixture of computer science and economics background, definitely also ranging into the area of engineering and software engineering techniques is definitely very, very valuable to have, understanding, different software development life cycles, how to work in a Scrum team, what is a backlog, and the things that also that Sam mentioned. In the end, you mostly always will work on a product together with like an interdisciplinary team. So understanding these kind of basics is, I think, also very, very important. And also in the area of, data engineering, we mentioned there's still a huge part of the job is being data cleaning. because you almost never get, fully perfect data from the start. So, any techniques that can help you to process and clean data, big amounts of data, or also small amounts of data very fast are helpful.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And maybe I would say you would agree. I mean, three of you, would you be okay to list down your training materials, resources you may recommend in the show notes? I mean, in the LinkedIn post. I mean, if you don't mind, just give your best practice. What do you think should be the basics to learn, right? So the audience can just look at the links and the YouTube videos, materials, courses, or whatever. I just came across yesterday to someone named Mosh Hamedani. I mean, those in data science may know him. I mean, he had a great Python for Beginner course, which is 1 hour plus, which was the basics. And he has also a full project video, which lasts for 6 hours, including some small hacks and projects, right? So this would be, for example, my recommendation. I will also put it in the show notes afterwards. And great that we can also collect all these materials here in the panel discussion as well, to everyone looking up and see where to start actually. Frank, you were quoted many times from Jasmin and Sam in terms of the different roles, right? This is also something which many people mixed up. So data science, I mean, many job roles and tasks and responsibilities just compiled under data science. But you mentioned many times data engineering, data visualization, and those kind of things. So can you categorize a little bit and give one sneak preview into the different roles in data, which is not necessarily always data science, and the differences in between? Because I think this is something which many people didn't get yet, right? So what are these different tasks and responsibilities if we look into a data project?
Should I go?
Yeah, Frank, please.
Good. So I see, I would say 3 or 4 big bugs like in there, and then you can differentiate a little bit more in detail. But the first thing you do have is what the colleagues also said, like it's a data modeling, data cleaning part. So find out the source of the data, get the data streamlined into the system, clean it, harmonize it, bring it together. So that is the first part. Plus data modeling means how does a data model look like, where you can then work on with your Python scripts, where you can work on with statistic models, where you can build up visualization on it. And maybe there is a different data model between these two. And then you do have the hardcore, I call it data science part, where it comes to mathematicians, statistics, all the libraries, all the fancy stuff, where I'm totally out. I don't understand, not my world. And then comes the nice part where I'm in again, because this is then the part where you do the visualization part. So, and all over that is a business function, because you need to understand how business is impacted by that, what you want to achieve, how this impacts, and which decisions you can helpfully support with that. So these are the 3 to 4, I would call it, elements which you would need to have in a model. And then you can have details like Scrum Masters, team, agile mentors, and stuff like that, which comes on the more or less on the development part, which I would call it's more like a general function, like a project management in earlier days, which should be there anyhow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, Jasmin, Sam, would you agree with this, or something to add?
Yeah, so I think there's no single right answer to this. It's really hard to answer. I think you can just learn from different examples. Cassie Kosikov, who's the chief decision scientist at Google, for example, she writes many blog posts, a person I really like to follow. And she's having more of a 10-way split, having 10 different kind of roles that are sometimes more, sometimes heavier on the actual core of data science. This is also something we can link in the resources. Very, very useful to take a look at and, see what kind of role maybe fits best for yourself. And I also want to say that, this is what I think is different than 10 years ago, where, the first time this Harvard Business Review article was published with sexiest job of the 21st century, there we mainly talked about data science, but having this kind of different split into different roles that can focus each on like a part of the process shows that we got more mature in the field, which I think is a good development. But it also has to reach the companies to understand that there's different roles and there's not a single data scientist who's like the silver bullet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I'd add to that. I think it depends on where you work as well, and particularly how big your organization is. So if you work at a startup and there's 20 of you and you're the only data scientist, you'll do everything. Whereas if you work at a company where there's, like my company, the tech team is, I think there's like 400 of us and there's like sort of 30 data scientists. We kind of naturally sort of veer into different groups. So we have some data scientists that are very research heavy, reading papers and so on, whereas some data scientists are more kind of more product oriented, more practical, more about kind of implementation and seeing it kind of like have an impact straight away. So yeah, I just to add to that yeah, there's something the size of the company is, kind of influences how big, how many different data scientists you might have and the different roles that there are.
Perfect, great. I mean, we already have some couple of questions from the chat, and I think what young people can do to improve their experience and skills to land a job. I think we just discussed this. I mean, I think quite a bit. We can maybe summarize this after on. We have also a lot of compliments in the LinkedIn feed here. So thanking you all for sharing this insights and also asking to share the links afterwards. Let's talk about money, right? So maybe Sam, you switched your career to data science. So
Sure.
Did your salary significantly change, and are you suddenly a billionaire? I mean, being in data science. So because this is one of the reasons why Harvard Business Review said is the sexiest, because you have a very high salary income expectation and so on. I mean, what about these myths, right? Are data scientists earning a hell of money?
Well, I mean, from the career that I shifted from, definitely. I mean, if you look at if you look at the salaries at similar levels of experience of work, yeah, definitely there's a higher salary from that point of view. I think the salaries are typically higher than average just because there is a technical aspect. I think there's just quite a lot of demand. You know, every company requires people with data expertise. I don't quite think. Well, I'm in the UK, so I can't talk about outside of it. But I don't quite think that the supply is quite matching demand. So that generally, well, it pushes salaries a bit higher, definitely.
Okay. I mean, what was a very politically right answer. Okay, I'm keep going. Frank, how much you're paying for your data scientist?
Too much. No, it's not about paying too much, but as Sam rightfully said, the market is empty. So if you want to have good people, they literally can pick the job. It's not anymore that we are offering a great opportunity for them. No, they can pick, they can choose and pick, and that drives obviously the costs. And yes, you said in the beginning some 70K for entry level. Maybe not when you're fresh from university, but very much after a year or two, you can easily get that. That is not an issue. And it reaches areas, if you are really like a full-fledged with industry expertise, where you can earn a 250K plus. So that is also not a big deal. But then also the expectation is that you deliver that value. So it drives a pressure with it. And like always, as higher the salary, as higher the pressure. So the other thing I wanted to add, because I just saw a question in the chat to that as well, is the question: what is the demand customer or colleagues, employees are raising nowadays beside the money? Because money is not everything anymore. It's more about having a free time, 4 days working only, having time for private projects, having the allowance to use notebook, mobile phone, also for hackathons outside of the company, stuff like that. And yes, the demand is getting higher and higher, but this has nothing to do with Generation Z, millennials only. So this is getting all over. So It's not only money anymore. And the differentiation in the market for me, it's not money only anymore.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you for that. I mean, of course, it was a little bit a provoking question from my end, but this is also one of the most asked questions, right? Is it really true that, I mean, the salaries are higher than average, which seems right, right? If you have the right skills, right spot, right demand, and so on, it might be. But I think you're totally rightly said that this is not everything. But having said that, Jasmin, I mean, you did your masters and the full, I mean, journey of the academic career. What do you think, or how does it feel if someone starts as a teammate, did a 3 months, I mean, boot camp somewhere, and joining the party and doing the same job as you do? So how does it feel?
Yeah, I would say, obviously there's some onboarding time, but as long as the person is, doing the same kind of task with the same kind of quality, I don't care what the background is, right? So I am more on the perspective of, equal task, equal pay, no matter of the background of the person or the gender for that matter. So obviously you have to pay industry experience, but that should also then lead to the person doing the job on a maybe different level of quality or being more easily able to communicate with stakeholders, which are these kind of softer parts that you can sometimes harder quantify, but which are still differentiating you. So I would say it's more about the kind of working experience that you bring yourself. And here, that's also one of the other questions in the chat. What can people do to improve their experience and skills to land a job? I think the theory side is one part, but I think even more important is the practical part. Having internships, having working as a working student, taking part in hackathons, doing competitions on Kaggle or similar kind of platforms. I think that's actually way more important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have also a comment in the chat from Suryansh saying that also these skills might not be enough. You should add the industry knowledge into that run, right? And that is exactly what you said, Jasmin, right? I think you can complete your profile, you can increase your chances, obviously, with more skills, like soft skills we mentioned many times, like the industry skills we mentioned many times. So I think this will just make the profile complete. And maybe this will also close the gap which you might have with a non-academic career here as well, right? But the reason I ask you this question, Jasmine, was also like, I mean, to invite people, right? Because this is something sometimes also the fear many non-academics have, like, okay, how am I going to be perceived as someone who just did a crash course, boot camp, or whatsoever? How would they accept me? Would they include me next to academics, right? So and great, you saying, of course, equal pay, equal chances, equal quality, as long as you bring it, as long as you can deliver and bring the skills. I think then we all should apply skills over degree, right? So I think this is a great information, and also I think a huge invite to many people out there.
And it's definitely a cultural thing, right? So I fully agree, salary is one thing, but it's the overall compensation package. And for me, that also the company cultures is very important. And, I felt that I've made very good experience with that. I'm leading now a team where 4 of my teammates have a PhD and I have not. So, I also had this kind of worries, how will they perceive me? But having a good team and having a company culture that is so open, the worry was never met. So I think that this is also heavily coming down to the team structure and the culture. And I think data talent specifically also value that part. So it's not about the money. Nobody will choose a job just for the money, but if the tasks are not meeting your demands and if the team is not good.
Absolutely. Great link to my final talking point here: diversity and inclusion / culture and purpose. I think to summarize, you mentioned nicely what to do, what to learn, how to land the job, how to go in there, and so on and so forth. The money side we discussed, right? So finally, what else the data science job is bringing, and why is it the sexiest job on earth, right? And I can see all of you are working from home, as far as I can see, right? This is, I think, one aspect that data science role typically allows: home office. So, and I also mentioned briefly the purpose in terms of problem solving. So, what makes data science special in terms of purpose, right? I mean, do you have some great use cases, which describes greatly the impact you can generate as a data science. Maybe Frank, we can start with you. I mean, do you have some examples which really shows the Gen Z out there who are not looking also to the monetary side of the things, also to the purpose side, which you can bring on the table?
Yes, definitely. So I would that time relate really to Capgemini as a company because we do have number one strategy is actually sustainability right now. So, and all our data science projects, regardless if we deliver them to customers or internally, are more or less all related to sustainability factors, be it logistics optimization, transport intelligence, be it CO2 footprint reduction, all of that. Whatever it is, whatever we do for each customer we do, it's always related to that. And what other great impact on global scale you can have as a human being than working on these activities. So for me, it's just an amazing field to be. And obviously, I need to admit, we still, all of us here are there to earn money. So we don't do this for free, but it is a benefit. So it's a give and take. So therefore, for me, one of the best areas to be in is the data world.
Sam, want to continue?
Yeah, cool. So I think just from my perspective, so where I work, we build products for users. And the technologies that we're using, one of the great things about data science we haven't talked about is that a lot of the research and development is open source, which means basically that we have teams of fantastic data scientists like OpenAI, Meta they open source some of their stuff too. We can take those technologies and build new interesting products and experiences for our customers that just you couldn't do, like say a year ago. So that's quite motivating for me, is that we are working on things that are brand new and we're creating new experiences for users which are brand new as well, which is quite exciting to be a part of. So that's one of the main things that I like.
Awesome. Jasmin.
Yeah, for me, it's about, being in that position that I can help my colleagues to, have an easier run at the job, like facilitate and simplify their life. If I can shorten, for example, processes, or I can provide new insights, that will help them to more easily perform the job and can actually focus on maybe more, enjoyable tasks, and, not opening, the 100 Excel or so for doing something. I feel that's, the main kind of purpose for me, is that I can really make a change for my colleagues and for my company, and actively support, the purpose of the company. And I feel, you see a lot of data maybe, not being used, and you are actively in that position to change that. And you can be very proactive and, suggest new product solutions. And, having that position to really also not just, suggest it, but also doing something for it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and also just a final point. I think a good thing about working in data is that it's like a soft insurance policy, because I think you might start your career as 24 in data. I think you're pretty much going to be guaranteed work for a very long time, just because of the way the world's heading. Data is everywhere in every organization. It's not being used super effectively in all cases. So I think it's a career in data has got longevity, definitely. So
absolutely, I think this is quality of life somehow, Sam, right? So if you're not bothered anymore about your career because you have a kind of a job guarantee once being in a data area, or once having the skills, because I think you can hop in different industries, right? So as a data scientist, and you can solve many various problems in any industry. I think this is a great point, which really would increase your quality of life in just being more relaxed, being more sure about your future, and focusing on the more important things in life, like health, private life, and so on and so forth. This is tremendous. I think really great insights. Again, we have a lot of nice messages in the chat. We had a lot of viewers, and I think this will be also watched many times from young talents. I think they had great advices from various areas. they know how much money to earn, they know how to apply, where to apply, which skills to learn, and where to look for these skills. I mean, I think this was great insight. I really thank you from deep of my heart for this great insights and experience from all of you. I will leave it to you and your final words, right? If you have someone in front of you asking you, hey, I mean, what shall I go and do, right? What would be your advice? I mean, Sam, 2 top or 3 top things you would advise those young talents what to do.
I think what Jasmin said earlier, there's lots of different types of data scientists. So I think have a think about what you really find passionate right now, and start developing in that field, because it's impossible to be perfect at everything. You just can't. No one can do it. I struggle with that every day. I kind of think I should be better at this, but it's very difficult. So find something you're passionate about, and really kind of dive into it. And then when you do get to the point of having an interview with an employer, employers they can see that passion. You know, they can tell if you're just ticking the box, but if they can see your passion and interest in something, it's very appealing. So focus on things that you kind of find really interesting, be that visualization, great, or if you're really into the statistics, demonstrate that, do projects on that. So yeah, focus on your passion. That's what I'd say.
Great.
Yeah, from my side, again, I want to emphasize that it's sometimes it's easy to get into a phase of procrastination, because, as mentioned, there's so many different learning resources, so many options. So especially if you're thinking about switching career, I can really just recommend taking small steps into that direction. Maybe you're not getting the kind of data science internship in the very beginning, but maybe you can work in a marketing commercial analysis area, which can be the first step into that direction, and from there on you can take smaller steps into that career path. So it won't be something that you achieve from one day to another, right? But you have to be on a journey, and actually the journey never ends with the learning. So don't stress out too much about it. Just get started with something in that area.
Okay, Frank, other than apply to my team, what would be your advice to the people out there?
So definitely for me, networking is a big thing. So get yourself a mentor is always helpful, because all the mentors, at least here at GDEXA, we do have a broad network. We can facilitate, we can support. That is the one thing. But also get into hackathons, get into groups, communities, build your skills. Not overnight, because this will not work, as Jasmin just said. So get into it, get experience in it. And in that moment, you will build a network. And with that network, it will be way easier to get a job and job offer, and new learning curves as well. And learning never ends. So this lifelong learning thing, especially in data and in IT in general, it will not go away. So you need to be ready for that.
Absolutely. I mean, this reminds me to a statement of a professor in a school in Singapore. He said, hey, I mean, you guys came 10 years ago with R, and I changed the whole learning content, the whole faculty. I upskilled every professor in that language, and suddenly Python is the new thing. And I need to reskill everyone as well. So this really explains why lifelong learning is so important, right? So you need to keep going and keep moving forward. But I think it was a great final word also from you, Frank, because it was a great group mentoring, so to say, right, for many people out there. But if you love to enhance your network, as Frank mentioned, if you would like to learn communication skills and all these kind of industry knowledge, as Jasmin mentioned, or also know how it is to be a data science in a day-to-day work, like Sam mentioned, you can apply for a mentorship, right? So there are many great initiatives out there, and one of them is GDEXA, obviously, and you can apply. And we just recently launched a full-fledged platform, which is automating and streamlining the whole mentoring process. So you can just apply at app.gdeta.com, and you will just do a quick profiling and get matched with one of the mentors we have in our broad network. And through the platform, you can arrange mentoring sessions and you can track and trace your progress. And this is, I think, the great opportunity to really get a one-to-one mentorship and ask and address your questions you may have, and really build a very personal learning path with your mentor of trust. So, and then with this, I mean, again, huge thanks to our great panelists. I mean, thank you for your time, for your experience, and everything you did. Also in our GDEXA network as a global mentor. Hope everyone enjoyed and get used out of this. There are a lot of go-dos and call to actions from our mentors. Hope this will create an impact in your lives. Thanks for watching and take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.